Hey friends, this is the Grow Podcast. I'm Wendy Jo, and this is Ashley.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It is our 1 year anniversary. I cannot believe a whole year of making the Grow Podcast has gone by.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's our anniversary is just so surprising to me. I don't know. Who would have thought we've been doing this for a year?
Right. I know. Well, and it's not like the exact day, but it's, right around this time we kind of started.
Mhm.
We had been talking about it. So, you and I met on the last episode of the Ed Show. You were my last guest.
I remember. I remember.
Yeah, that I had. I mean, we make Ed Show extras still, but actually, doing the show week to week, you were the final guest, and I just felt a real connection with you. I loved what you were doing, and I'm so glad that I reached out and said, "Hey, Ash, you want to make a podcast about spirituality?" And thank goodness you said yes.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that that happened. I mean, definitely in divine timing. When I did that podcast with you, I was doing like a rounds of podcasts, and like that was my podcast season. So the reason why y'all can find me on podcasts on the internet is because I had a very intentional time with that. But definitely that time with you, I thought was very interesting, and I remember you suggested the Osho Zen tarot cards or oracle cards, and I went and got them right after you suggested it, and I still use those cards.
I'm so glad that you do. And I find so one thing about those cards, I find that the people who I run across that I really connect with either use them already or they are really open to trying them and then find a connection with them. So
Yeah.
there's some synchronicity with me and how I view the world and spirituality and that deck, and then the people that I connect with. And I haven't exactly figured it out, but it is true that that happens. I mean, really unlikely people, like Dr. Brian Nickel, he's a cannabinoid physician here in Arkansas that is just phenomenal. And he said to me, Wendy, I've been using that deck for years. I was so shocked, and then shocked and then not shocked because we also really connected, and it just happens over and over again. I feel like the Osho Zen is so based in the present in so many ways, and it really connects you to your present moment and the divine. And people who are really seeking that, I connect well with.
Yeah, I think, and I love the imagery on it. That's one of my favorite things about those cards is the colors. That was probably the first thing that stood out when I started working with them, and I use them all the time. And so I really appreciate that you shared that with me, and I'm glad that it was some sort of notice to you that we should do something together because otherwise
Yes.
this wouldn't be happening.
Right. And so I'm so glad that you listened and that you picked them up and started using them. And so I usually recommend to people not to read the book. Like, don't read the book. You want to tap into your own intuition. That's how I learned to read. I had a card reading with um, a couple from Scotland. I've mentioned them several times, I'm sure, on the show, who kind of helped me onto my spiritual path. And my first reading was with them with the Osho Zen deck. And their names are George and Chris. George has passed. But they would do readings together. He would verbally give his reading while she was intuitively looking at the same cards and writing about them.
Mm.
It was really kind of a cool way to do it. Their perspectives were a little different, but there was always a connection as well between the two of them. And really, they scared the crap out of me. Like they knew everything about me by using these cards and tapping into their intuition. And it was a lot because I had never received a reading before. But they taught me to read by looking at the cards, no more than three a day, go through the whole deck. then go through it a second time. And what you're doing is you're opening your channel and connecting to spirit and learning to use your own intuition. One of the cool things about this podcast too is that you and I are on our own spiritual journeys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started on my spiritual path around 30. I'm almost 60, so it's been 30 years. And I have, you know, it is definitely, as many people say, like peeling an onion. You know, I don't know if I'll ever be done, and that's okay. There's no time in spirit anyway. But, you know, you peel the layer, you cry, you weep, you go through it, and then you're okay for a little bit, and then you peel another layer. And that has been my experience over the years. But I will say, doing this podcast and week to week discussing these topics and re-looking at different tools and learning new ideas from you has really, and also in the discussion, you know, getting me to think about it in different ways has really, in this part of my journey, I feel like helped to awaken me further and move along on my path, you know, in a really direct way. You know, it's been very intentional, I guess.
Yeah, I feel the same way. No, that and I think, you know, you mentioned how with the cards you help support intuition and build confidence around your intuition. I think that's probably been the biggest takeaway for me. And, you know, I've had a lot of firsts, you know, as we've gone through this journey in this podcast, and I would like to say that it was directly tied to this as well. One of which is getting my Reiki certification. I've done that, and it's been a very interesting experience, some ups and some downs throughout it. But, you know, I feel like I got a lot of support. Like, I'm supposed to be sharing and supporting other people, but, you know, in many ways, I find that in the conversation that we're having that you tend to support me, and you probably don't even realize it half the time, but you do.
Oh, I'm so glad. That really feels good. Because, you know, we're all kind of in this together, right?
Yeah.
There's no one person who's better or worse, really. That's so subjective to think in that way. We're at different places in our journey. You know, you and I are different ages, so we've had, you know, different experiences. I've been on the planet a little longer, right? But you've had, you know, profound experiences in all different avenues of your life that you bring to the podcast. So you have helped me in the journey as well. And, you know, that's so, as I was saying, you know, we're all working towards the same thing, which is to understand ourselves, understand others, and create more sensitivity and compassion, you know, in the work that we do, in healing work with others, in our lives, with our families, with friends, you know, with people listening. So I think it's, you know, just amazing that we're able to do that through these conversations.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it too, because I don't know if there are a lot of spaces to have these conversations in a way that's very open and transparent, where, you know, even though my perspective may be different from yours or yours from mine, we're able to meet together and see how we can explore the concept more. So, you know, it does support growth. And I think that's the biggest thing for anybody who's listening, that, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't like what I say, if you don't like what Wendy says, how can it support your evolution and your growth and expand your perception of the world? So that way you can get closer to, you know, whatever your purpose is or what you're here on this earth to do.
Right. Love that. And we'll be right back.
Congratulations to Wendy Jo and Ashley for celebrating 1 year on the Grow Podcast from Candace J. and
Graham Sporton of the Smoking Herb Radio Show. We're very proud of you. We love your show. Keep up the good work.
Great job, ladies.
I want to wish a very, very happy first anniversary to Wendy and Ashley for the Grow Podcast. I'm sending you very, very loving wishes and some dandelion dreams. And here's my guy up here. He's doing the same. I love listening to it. I can always just put it on while I'm doing stuff around the house, and it It brings me joy to learn new stuff every day or to talk about discussions that I'm interested in. And you guys do such a great job. I enjoy it, and very happy anniversary, and here's to many, many more.
Hey there, friends. Wendy Jo from the Grow podcast. I am super excited today because I am introducing you to Synergy Skinworks, your trusted source for medicinal cannabis patches. That's right, a transdermal system for cannabis medicine. And it doesn't matter where you place it on your body because the medicine goes where the blood flows. It's 97% bioavailable in this form, and the patch won't move if you sweat or get it wet. They are available in all 38 dispensaries in Arkansas and also in Oregon and Montana, and I just know they're going to be available all across the country because it is brilliant. As a patient, I find them to be discreet, easy to use, and I can place it and forget about it for 24 hours. As a health professional, I love it that patients can give their lungs a break. If you'd like, you can learn more at synergyskinworks.com. And I've got my patch on. Peace out. And we're back. We have been doing this podcast for a year, and we're talking about it today. And so, Ashley, you mentioned Reiki a little while ago, and that was a new thing that you kind of have picked up since you've been doing the podcast. So what are your thoughts about energy work and Reiki, and what inspired you from doing the podcast to get to that place? Or did the podcast inspire you to get to?
It did. It did. So we did an episode on energy work very early on, probably in the first season, early in the first season. But anyway, so we did that episode, and one thing I realized when we talked about it, I did perceive energy, but it was only energy that was outside of myself. And so it was kind of weird because I'm like, well, how can you perceive everybody else's energy, but you can't perceive your own? And that's kind of had me going down a rabbit hole. I was like, because this isn't right. This isn't normal. Like, so I started just kind of playing around with different ideas and concepts. And I ended up landing on, well, you know what? I'm going to try Reiki. And I didn't know much about it when I did it, to be honest with you. But it's probably one of the best things that I feel like I've done in the past year. It's helped me tap into self significantly. I mentioned ups and downs in the last segment. The first time it was like this, feeling of almost euphoria. Like I could feel all the Reiki energy moving in through me, and it just felt really good. The second time wasn't as euphoric. It was actually quite painful, in that I feel like the way that I experienced it was that the Reiki energy was moving in and through me, but it was also so much, it was so abundant that it was also purging everything that didn't belong there. And that part was quite painful. It's been very rewarding. And I every night I go to sleep, and even if I'm not like doing the full body Reiki, self Reiki, I always have my hand on my heart, and I'm always offering myself Reiki energy, because it's just divine love energy. And it's just to me, it feels like just a communication of self that, hey, I'm here. I still love you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we all have the capacity to heal ourselves. Our body wants to heal itself. It's built to do that. You just have to put it in the right conditions. So, I think in talking about these topics on the podcast and talking about various tools, we're not only helping others to these things, but we're definitely working on ourselves. And that's really one of the most beautiful things about this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why it's called Grow, because we're all on a growth journey. We're all trying to, just navigate life and do what life, experience what life has to offer us. And so I think, what this podcast is just an opportunity, not only for the people who are listening to grow, but it served as an opportunity for both you and I to grow. And so I'm forever grateful for this experience.
Thank you. Me too. And gratitude. Gratitude is such an important concept. We did cover that in one of the shows. We probably have talked about it in many shows.
Right.
But really learning to live life in gratitude is part of the spiritual journey. And that includes things that we may not be so desirable at the time, right? But when you are grateful for everything that comes your way, good, bad, and otherwise, your whole vibration elevates. And I think in bringing these topics forward, we're also bringing forward gratitude.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked a lot about like gratitude journals when we did that episode. And for me, I think when you have other people who operate in a space where they can identify opportunities for gratitude, it helps you to also find opportunities for gratitude. Because if it was with somebody who's very pessimistic, oh my God, today is terrible, I woke up, right? Like you might be upset that you woke up too. So being in connection with somebody like yourself, and other people who are choosing to comment when they are saying that they have gratitude for the podcast and things like those open up just that channel to be able to connect with gratitude more and more often. Very high frequency concept, and I definitely like living in that space.
Yeah, me too. So what would you say is your favorite episode? Do you have an absolute favorite?
I don't know.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are. I don't know. I would like to say the episode that we did on I would like to say the cannabis episodes. I think we've done like 3.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think I like those the best, but I feel like that's a conversation that I could talk for hours and hours and hours about. And I think that's probably why. I think the other ones are amazing too. But I feel like in those episodes, my understanding is a little bit more limited. So it's more of like, I think I'm really exploring and growing in real time. And
okay.
you know what I mean?
Very
Like,
cool. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's just, I don't know. That's what I think of it.
Yeah. So you feel like with the cannabis episodes, you're in your comfort zone,
Yeah.
But that's so cool that you're willing to step outside your comfort zone like 75% of the time.
Right.
And you're kind of learning as you're going, but you have so much to offer too, just naturally from your own life experience and perspective, so thank you for being willing to do that. I don't think I always realized that.
Yeah, it's fun though. Like even so, either way, it's fun. Like 100% of the time, it's fun. But it does take me out of my comfort zone some of the time because they aren't concepts that I've ever had real conversation about with other people. And because we're so pointed and we have to like plan for the episode and all those kind of things, I have to dig a little deeper than I would if I were to even try and have this conversation with somebody else. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
How about you?
My favorite?
Yeah.
So I have to say, it was early on, but I loved the toxic positivity episode.
Oh, yeah.
It was like super important and a topic that people don't realize. And I think we both realized that at times we were doing that.
Yeah.
And so it was like this epiphany all in real time, and then learning about the topic and being able to talk about it. Got a lot of great feedback on that episode. And then recently, so that one is, I think, my favorite, maybe. I don't know. I like all of them.
I know,
right? And then recently, the episode that we did about disability and cannabis and spirituality is definitely high on my list also. I think Katie Zeno is a really remarkable person, and so hearing her story and following that a little bit, and how spirituality really, just elevated her vibration to where she wanted to continue to live, which, we don't often think about, that many people end up in that space where they're not sure if they really want to be here, and how brave of her to talk about that.
Yeah.
In her journey. And as a disabled person myself, too, I think, I really connected to her also. And gosh, just so grateful that she was able to come and chat with me, and that you and I had the conversation also. So that's definitely on my favorite list as well. Yeah.
Very cool. You know what? The toxic positivity one definitely was an eye opener, and I still like apply principles from that conversation to this day. Like I
Yes.
always ask for permission before I start speaking now. If I'll say my viewpoint probably will lend on the more optimistic side. Like I'll preface before I speak, and I find that because I do that, people are more willing to share and be open with me than they were before, because I think that I was off-putting because I wanted to impose this like positive mindset kind of thing.
Right. 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 Yeah. I mean, I think we both, when we were talking, it was real time. We were both
Yeah.
like, oh, I do that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. With good intention, but it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
people aren't, shut down. And so, anyone, if you haven't listened to that or watched that episode, take the 30 minutes and do it, because it may just change your life.
For sure. For sure. I mean, while you're going back at it, you might as well start from the beginning
Yes.
and
Yes.
revisit some of those topics. But yeah, definitely some powerful content back there.
Yes. And we will be right back.
Hey y'all, it's me, Kia Marie with Kest Management Health and Wellness. Happy first year anniversary to the Grow Podcast. Wendy Jo and Ashley, thank you so much for everything that you poured into us this year. I love growing spiritually with you guys. Thank you so much. Happy first year anniversary, and I wish you many more to come. Kest Management Health and Wellness. Follow me on Instagram at KM Health and Wellness. Thank you. Happy anniversary.
Hey, Wendy and Ashley. Happy year-anniversary with the Grow Podcast. I am so thankful that I know about this podcast and I am able to tune in and listen to relevant discussions on spirituality and on my favorite form of greenery. You got it, cannabis. Thank you, ladies, so much for keeping us informed, in the loop, and helping us level up spiritually. Love you.
Hey there, Wendy Love Edge here. I'm so excited because I have Edge Coaching and Consulting LLC, where I've brought together all of my education and experiences so that I can help you have the life that you want. I'm an intuitive life coach, Osho Zen card reader. I perform brain spotting services to help heal trauma, inner child work, Reiki, and so much more. So if you're interested, check it out, edgecoachingandconsulting.com, and you can book your services right on the website.
Have you heard of the Cannabis Nursing School? It's a place where cannabis nursing, entrepreneurship, and spirituality meet. The High Align Tribe is waiting for you, and it's so easy to find. CannabisNursingSchool.com.
And we're back, where it's our 1-year anniversary. We're talking about our journey in spirituality over the last year and the podcast. So we were really fortunate this year. Ash, we started this, we worked on it for almost a year. It's not a paid gig, we just, it's all pure passion and wanting to bring forward these subjects and have a place people can listen to these conversations and hopefully learn to grow themselves. But we were really fortunate that Synergy Skinworks decided to sponsor our efforts, and so exciting to have a company like this that is family owned, women operated, and so concerned about quality and in the cannabis space, because you and I are definitely cannabis people. You mentioned the cannabis episodes were some of your favorite. So what does it mean to you, a company like this kind of deciding they want to invest in our project and what we're doing?
Well, I think it's just validation that somebody outside of us thinks this podcast is worth anything. But the fact that this is such a company that is from the conversations that I've had, they are definitely interested in getting more people more access to cannabis. And the way that they do it through transdermal patches is just so amazing, because there are a lot of people who cannot consume through smoking and still could use the benefit of the cannabis plant. And so, like, to have a company like that to support us as we continue to grow, I think it just means the world to me.
Yeah, it same. Someone from their group had reached out after seeing one of the shows, and I just, yeah, it really warms my heart, and just the quality, and another thing that they're doing, which I'm not sure if you're aware of, is they encourage people who have questions about cannabis just to call their number and talk to them about it, even if they're not looking to buy or set up, in their state with the patches, which they are looking to be in every state. But just someone who wants to talk about cannabis, has questions, give them a call, chat about it. They're into it.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's so cool. That's what we need. That helps educate, create community, bring people together around the plant. And I know you are all about that, as am I.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that just speaks to even their passion, because, there are a lot of companies in this space, in the cannabis space at least, that aren't passion driven, don't have strong whys, and, are just really focused on the money. But I don't feel like this company is driven that way.
Yeah, very cool. So thank you, Synergy Skinworks. Much gratitude. So we're going to keep going with this podcast. It's been a year, and we've been focusing on spiritual topics and tools, and we're going to keep doing that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. Yeah, definitely. I think we have a lot to uncover. We're always growing. There's always new things to explore. I mean, this season has been a lot about love and how can we show love and compassion. Last season, we talked a lot about spiritual tools and how we can use them, and who knows what we're going to talk about in the future. But I don't think spirituality is something that we can ever really run out of topics on, because it's a ever evolving process. I think you said in this episode, it's like peeling back the onion, and there's more and more and more layers. And so I'm here for it if you are, and if y'all willing to listen.
Yes. Yeah, I'm definitely here for it. Yeah, there's so many, when we were talking about this season, doing the season of love, and, I remember when we were formulating, and I said, well, we have to make sure everything kind of will tie back to love. And you're like, everything ties back to love. And it's true. It's so true. No matter what we have talked about so far, and we're not that far into the season, even whether we actually say it or not, when you think about it, it will tie back to love, self-love, unconditional love, behaving and working in your life in a loving manner. It all ties back to love and to spirituality ultimately. So it's we'll continue the journey. And thank you so much, Ashley. It's been amazing so far. It's such a pleasure working with you, and I learn something every time. So thank you.
Thank you. Same here. I can't say it any better, so I'll just ditto that.
All right. Well, have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.